Our topic today is 401k Playbook for Advisors in Growth Mode. Our speakers for today are Andy Hudson and Chris Barlow, partners with 401k Grab and Go. Welcome, Andy and Chris, and now let's take it from here.
Shantice, thank you. Thanks to you and to Nevin Adams and all the good folks at NAPA for your operational support in producing today's webinar. I want to thank our hosts, Force Manager 5500, for giving us the opportunity to share with you information that we believe that you can implement and add great effectiveness to your overall business. And Andy and I want to thank you, not only for taking time out of your day. We hope to give you a great return on investments. We also want to thank you for what you've been doing. It's not only throughout your careers, but specifically in 2020. We know that you've been taking really great care of your clients, your plan sponsors and your plan participants, and you educated them well about volatility. And we also know that after you were done serving your clients, you picked up the phone and you called into your community, local companies that you thought could use your help, interpreting the CARES Act and giving their plan participants guidance to get them through. So Andy and I are very thankful for the opportunity to speak to you today and to share with you our thoughts. Since beginning my focus in 401k in 1990, it's been fascinating to participate in the evolution of the financial services industry and its impact on the American retirement savings system, the laws, the providers. In the early years of 401k sales and service, all the expertise was at home office. I was at Merrill Lynch at the time, and they were launching their 401k sales initiative. My team was there to train advisors, educate clients, and close the sale. The wealth advisor would contact the SWAT team and turn the prospect over to us. And as assets accumulated over the years, specialists began to naturally evolve, specialist advisors, specialist RIAs, broker-dealer firms, and service providers that support the continued growth of 401k specialist advisors, such as our host today, Force Manager 5500. Andy and I are also an output of that specialization, working with advisors that want to grow and improve their 401k business. So we're going to talk to you today about adding effectiveness to your 401k business and helping you to accomplish your goals. Andy, why don't you give everybody insight as to what we're going to be talking to them about today?
Yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for taking the time. So Chris and I are looking forward to spending the next 50 minutes with you. You've obviously, if you're on today's call, you've had some success in building a book of 401k plans, but a lot of you are looking for, what are ways to grow at a faster pace. So today we want to talk to you first. As an industry, a lot of wholesalers, record keepers, DCIO will approach you based on the number of plans that you have. And what Chris and I have found working with lots of different advisors is it's not really how many plans you have, but it's how you acquired those plans, therefore your approach. So we've identified 4 approaches that advisors typically take. So we'll run through that and hopefully you can identify with one of the 4. And then we'll talk to you about the nuances of each of the 4 categories as it pertains to growth in sales and shortening the time that it takes to bring on new clients. Then we want to introduce you to Susan. Susan is a financial advisor that I think you can relate to. A lot of the things that are going on in her business probably are happening in your business. And we'll talk to you about how Susan used this strategy, the Playbook strategy, to go from 4 to 6 plans a year to 10 to 12 plans a year just by changing her strategy a little bit. And then I'm excited to introduce you to Val, who's going to walk us through. Val's an advisor in South Florida. He's going to walk us through how she uses a tool called Force Manager 5500 to combine and kind of be the glue between her strategy and the execution of that strategy, so she doesn't have to live in an Excel spreadsheet environment. So at the end of this, so a lot of today, the playbook is going to be talking about Susan, how she made some changes in their business. There's going to be a part 2 training made available to you. We'll give you a promo code so that you can join us for a follow-up training session where we'll actually do all this for your practice and you can walk through and start to fill that out. So stay to the end. and watch for that promo code. More information to come on that. The 4 approaches. So I mentioned this a little bit in the intro slide, but the approach 1 is going to be a, if you can skip to the next slide, Chris. Approach 1 is going to be a wealth advisor and we're going to use approach and category. We kind of switch back and forth. They both mean the same thing. So category of advisors, the same thing as approach 1, approach 2, approach 3, approach 4. So the first approach that Chris and I have identified is a wealth advisor who is reactive to an opportunity. What do we mean by reactive? So when a client walks in the office or calls the office and says, hey, I need a plan, I need some help fixing our plan, those types of things, the advisor will typically say, sure, come on in, we'll take it, pull it apart and figure out what you need and be happy to serve you there. But it's only reactive. There's no proactive nature, and it's only reactive with their existing clients they serve or within their network, if that makes sense. So that's approach 1.
Category 2, approach 2, a successful private wealth advisor, not only will they react to any opportunity that their current clients or referral sources will provide to them, but they'll also let their current clients and referral sources know that they do 401k and other plan business. So they are proactive within their internal network. It's the second largest group of advisors that have at least one plan.
So if the category or approach 1 is reactive inside their network, category 2, like Chris just said, is proactive inside their network. So people they know, they bring it up. Category 3 is proactive outside their network. So looking at 5,500, downloading lists, making phone calls, sending emails, going to conferences. So trying to really proactively build outside their network and to enlarge their network is category 3 of advisor. Typically, category 3 advisor will come across, multiple plans a year, where category 1 may be one plan every 18 to 24 months, category 2 maybe one plan every 12 months. So you'll see as you go through the different approaches, obviously the sales results, the number of plans they bring on each year will change as well.
Category 4, the 4th approach, are the 401k specialist. You know who they are in your community. You may even be one. Over 50% of their revenue comes from their qualified plan business. They progressed. It's rare to have a category 4 that started at a category 4 or even a category 3. They progressed their way up, paying the price along the way. They saw the efficiencies. Now, not only are they great salespeople, but they also have to be a great team leader. They know that capacity is their kryptonite, and anything that they can do to build out their team, roles, responsibilities is something that they're definitely looking to do. They're also very choosy as to which plans they pursue as well. So 4 approaches. The first, category 1, the advisor is reactive only to their internal network, clients, referral sources. Category 2, proactive with their clients and referral sources. Category 3 is proactive outside their internal network. And category 4 is a 401k specialist. And we'd like to ask you what you believe you are based on our descriptions. We got a sense that the majority of you will be 3 and 4, but let's take a poll. Shantice, can you help us with that? Hello?
The poll has been launched. People
Okay.
are voting. Would we like to share the results?
That'd be
That'd
awesome.
be great.
The results are now live, with advisor approach 1 being 6%, Advisor approach 2 being 19%, advisor approach 3, 19%, and approach 4 at 56%.
Outstanding.
That's really interesting, Chris. So the vast majority of you are juggling servicing the existing plans and also selling at the same time. And then there's actually more category 2 advisors that are interested in warming up and working within your existing network. Maybe you enjoy 401k plans. It's just never been a proactive exercise. To both of you, I think there'll be some parts about Susan's story and some of the bottlenecking that was happening in her practice that will resonate, and you'll recognize and be able to relate to, and then we'll move into how she solved for some of that. So, Susan, you know, all the types of sales activities that we all know well, right? Phone calls, email, lunch, coffee, texting. You know, we could probably add Zoom to that now. But all of these sales activities, and then as we started to talk to Susan, we would talk about one opportunity, the bakery that was diagonal across the street. And as she met with that person, it was a friend, and so she had coffee, and then there was a personal text back and forth, and then an email, and then there was another opportunity that she was working on, and that was started with email and pretty much stayed email, and then, you know, another opportunity. So as she went through and thought through each of the opportunities, they were all nuanced to what sales activity. They all required sales activity, but there was no set pattern. There was a randomness, just because, you know, each relationship was different. It started on a different medium, so it was really difficult for her to track. Okay, if I sent a text message, what's my next follow-up for this particular opportunity? So she really felt like she was doing the right activities, but how do I put this together in a cohesive manner? The other thing that we noticed was, Susan, all of these activities were always pushing towards, can we either benchmark the plan or get together and meet about your plan? And we really found that wasn't always the best place to push to, because, you know, as all of you on the call know, 401k plans don't close in a week or two. Usually it's months or calendar years of calling on them. So she was having success. I mentioned this in the intro slide, that she was generating 4 to 6 plans that were in her $1 million to $5 million you know, target. And she wanted to move that up to 10 to 12 plans. So she wasn't trying to 5x or 10x her number, but she did want to double what her productions were. And she realized, I can't do that many more calls, that many more emails, track that many more prospects, continually asking, you know, can we do a sales presentation? Can we benchmark your plan? So that's probably familiar to you in what you're currently doing, the way that you're prospecting for 401k plans.
Yeah, absolutely. The randomness of the approach just doesn't give you enough turns at the plate with a particular relationship in order to nurture it and progress it along to become a client of yours. The randomness and the intersection of opportunity is the lowest probability. Only 4% of the time, as you probably, if you've been tracking, you know that you hit a home run on the first call with them. We have to always take the step backwards and realize the laws of sales, that buyers only buy when they have a need and when the time is right for them. When they have a need and when the time is right for them. And in order to enhance the probability of being in the right place at the right time, when a triggering event takes place to shine a spotlight on the particular need, you're in the right place at the right time. You're memorable to them in order to take advantage of the opportunity. You know, the only saving grace to Susan's randomness is the vast majority of her competition are random as well, all looking, and a good percentage of them are dropping off month in and month out, as you've seen the statistics of the 43% don't make the second call, the 68% don't make the third call, and 80% don't make the fourth call. So it's about doing what you can do to get away from the one-on-one and get to the one-to-many opportunity.
Yeah. So what did Susan do in her business to kind of alleviate this bottleneck and make things more trackable and more she could execute more consistently without things falling through the gap? Some of what we're going to talk to you about today, platform and some of the other terminology, we're going to, just because the amount of time that we have, we're going to touch on a couple of things that we'll probably need to go a little bit deeper to make it completely make sense. But next slide, please, Chris. Instead of all of the activity pushing to a sales presentation, which at the end of the day, after a couple conversations with Susan, it was really clear that how many times could she ask that prospect for either a sales presentation or benchmark the plan. It's not fun to continually ask over and over and over again. You need something else to talk about, and it's probably not a lot of fun to be on the receiving end of that thing. You know, no, we don't really want to meet. There's nothing going on now, and this is going on month after month. So what we did is we put in, what Susan did is she put in a platform, and platform, don't get caught up with the term, but it could be vlog, it could be an email news blast. It's a one-to-many exercise where you communicate through your platform, and it's no longer one-to-one. And what it does is it spreads out the amount of time, and it allows you to build trust, it allows you to continue to add value without continually pressing for a sales presentation. You'll get the sales presentation, that's everybody's goal here on the call, but we get there through the platform, and then when they raise their hand, we're able to say, okay, you know, now you've got a triggering event, and what's going on? How can we serve you and help you with this? So by adding a platform, she was able to do that. So it works a lot like what you're currently doing. It's just the second step is where the platform is initiated. So you start out one-to-one. If you're a category 4 advisor and you're a 401k specialist and you're reaching out outside of your network, it's going to take a phone call, it's going to take emails, you're going to have to solicit, hey, we're calling you for this reason, can I make you part of my platform, can I send you and share information with you over, you know, once a month, twice a month, whatever it is. You're going to have to push for that. If you're a 2, you're going to make a call inside your network, right? Those are the 2 majority of you know, most of you are in one of those 2 categories. If you're a 2, you're going to make a call into your warm network, much easier call to make, and say, hey, we're starting to really focus and do a lot of 401k business. I wanted to add you to a group where we're sharing really valuable content, and that IE is your platform. So you're able to push towards a one-to-many exercise. If you're a writer, you could do a blog. If you like video, you could do a vlog. You can choose your medium. You can use LinkedIn. You can do a lot of different things. So don't get hung up on what technology you use, but it's a one-to-many technology. So you press towards the platform, and then as you stay in contact over the months, when something happens, if you're a 2 and it's someone in your warm market, they'll call your office and say, hey, we've got an issue, we need help, we need to put it in place, whatever it is. But you've created an environment, an ecosystem where you're much more efficient in your outreach. It's a much better touch point for the recipients, and it allows you to expand the amount of time that you can communicate without annoying, add value, demonstrate expertise, build trust, all the things we have to do to close business.
Yeah, be in the right place at the right time when a triggering event takes place. So Susan needs framework, the structure that makes her platform work. And there's 4 parts to the framework that we believe that Susan needs. She needs to clearly identify her target prospects, make a list, find content, and then craft her message to a company, a thought leadership, if you will, a company, an article, an infographic, a video, whatever it happens to be, sending out to her prospects as well. Susan's platform is going to deliver the message over time, awaiting for that triggering event to take place. Prospects holds up their hand and asks Susan to pick on them.
Yeah, so the first part of the framework is her number. And what was happening here is when we talked to Susan and we said, well, how many prospects are on your list? There were a couple of things that came out of that. There were multiple lists, and eventually it got to a 75-ish number. But there wasn't really a combing through the number. It wasn't really specific enough. So what we encouraged Susan to do is to be more specific with their number. So we actually, suggested that she start out with a lower number than 75. We'll explain more when we talk about the list here in a minute. But we added 2 more numbers to her number. So the first number is the number of prospects, 401k prospects that she's going to call on, the 25. 36 is the number of months that she's going to communicate with them. So now I've I'm thinking longer term. The last number, the third number, is 2 touches per month. So this does a couple things for her. She now has almost like a dashboard number. I know my 25, I know I've got to communicate with them over 36 months. So it's no longer sporadic, it's consistent. And I'm going to touch base with them twice a month on my platform. So now we've gone from this hectic, by defining the number a little bit better, we've gone from this 75, I don't know where I am with each one, they're in a spreadsheet, but I'm not sure what, it's Tuesday afternoon, what's the next thing to do, to actually a number that we can really quickly, easily track, and is very specific to what Susan needed to do to hit that 10 or 12 plans that she wanted to hit.
Step 2 was to maximize her platform, build her list of target 401k prospects. Susan had to determine what would be the characteristics that her target prospects would share. Qualitative screens, whether it was proximity to her home or office or industry type, and quantitative, the assets under management, annual contributions, whatever it happens to be. As she took more control by defining who her targets were going to be, her confidence she gained confidence. And that is very important during the long, hard slog, as you all know, to know that you've got a credible database. There were reasons why that prospect was able to enter that database, and they're going to have to make it absolutely crystal clear to you through your ongoing prospecting of them that they don't deserve to be in the database in so many words.
And so the first part is she defined her number. The second part is she refined her list and was much more specific. The third part is content. So what are you going to share? What was she going to share over her platform? And there's really, you can call them cards. This has been developing in the industry for a long time. We've really dialed it in where we feel like there's these 6 topics, if you will. There could be a 7th, it could be 5, but something around these 6. And what she did is now she had 6 areas that were hot buttons for plan sponsors for different reasons, obviously different reasons. And now she, as she approaches the marketplace, meets with the CIO, record keepers, fund companies, does her own research, talks to her peers. Now she has kind of categories that she can start to pull together content. Now that's really helpful in the plan design aspect of things, because most of my clients and prospects don't understand it. Let me share that tidbit of information because it'll be helpful. So content is one of the areas that we see more getting it wrong than more getting it right. It's not just dropping an article or a white paper, which, ad nauseum, right? Go Google something and look at how many results there are, PDFs and white papers, and it's not helpful because they're not living and they're not pundits of the 401k space. So when we start to focus in on the hot buttons for plan sponsors, and we focus our content around those things, now we're speaking their language. Now we're solving for problems. We're showing them aspirations that they may possibly want to achieve from a contribution standpoint, different things like that. So content is the name of the game.
Yeah, and Andy said it's all about adding context to the content. We thought that Susan had an issue there with that, wasn't making the connection, was using phrases like thought you might be interested in this, or FYI, as she sent material out, as opposed to maybe just getting a note down that offered a glimpse of your thought leadership and what the topic was all about. There's plenty of you out there that are so inclined to write or to produce videos, whatever it happens to be. If you're not one of those, it's simply adding a note to for an email or a post in a LinkedIn or a short video ask script to attach along with the article, the infographic, or whatever it happens to be. But it's one of those things that you hope that your message grabs the attention and generates a level of interest on behalf of your prospect. So focusing in on the message and how to do that's a very, very important step.
Yeah, and Chris, Susan was using video, decided to use video to do that. So her messaging just was natural to her to speak to the video and talk about a conversation that came up last week, or she was able to add context in a real natural way over video. That was how she did it. The next thing Chris and I call it accountability. And as we talked to Susan, there were lots of different spreadsheets. And the problem is she went out and was in her car, driving to the office or driving back from an appointment, meeting for lunch, would come out after lunch and, need to do something with her notes and plan that next step. As she was, at the house before she got to the office, if she got a call. So the spreadsheet game, it only works in one place, and it works marginally well if you're sitting at your desk. But the problem is most of us aren't sitting at our desk most of the time. We are now through Zoom more than we ever have been, but we're still moving. We still need access to. So what Susan did to build accountability, and I call it technology. Technology is the glue between the playbook strategy and Susan's ability to execute. So it's the interface that puts all of the information, her 25 prospects over 36 months, 2 touches, her context, everything is in one place, and it allows her to execute what we've been able to put in place, and therefore, dial up and increase the number of plans that she writes on an annual basis, closer to the 10 to 12 number. With COVID and with everything else that's been going on, each year is a little bit different. There's curveballs, there's different things like that, but consistently, she now has a process and the technology to continue to work that process to grow her practice the way she wants to. None of that is earth-shattering, but when you put it together and you go from shooting from the hip, trying to remember the best you can, and now Susan has a process in place and a different way to communicate, pushing the platform. She has had quite a bit of success in being able to get in front of more plan sponsors, cultivate more relationships, i.e. grow her business more quickly. Really excited to introduce you to Val. Val is a financial advisor, like I mentioned earlier, in the South Florida, Miami area. That focuses specifically on 401k plans. Val actually uses the technology, so we really thought it'd be helpful to invite Val onto the call and just have Val share how she uses it in growing her practice. After the demo, we're going to come back to you and talk to you about the part 2 training where we can do some of this for your business and give you the promo. So. Val, are you on? So I'll talk a little bit about I'll introduce Val for just a minute while she jumps on here. Val's history, she worked with a number of record keepers and worked with plan sponsors and also did some wholesaling. So she came to the retirement plan space with lots of experience and then a passion to, hi Val, to grow her practice. So Val, tell us, welcome, tell us kind of where you were and where you are now, just to kind of get everybody up to speed. I think you're muted, Val.
Yes, so sorry about that. I was muted by the host. So I was actually a wholesaler for the last 10 years with one of the major record keepers, and I covered all of South Florida. And after many years of calling on financial advisors, I thought, it would be a great idea to start my own practice, and decided to start over just about a year ago. And definitely, it's been a learning experience. It's much harder to actually do things rather than teach it as a wholesaler, is what I've learned. And definitely the pandemic made things a little bit more complex. But when it comes to organizing my business from a prospecting standpoint and from a managing my existing plan standpoint, I definitely found myself drowning in multiple Excel spreadsheets for various different reasons. When I first joined my firm and my broker dealer, I was interested in bringing more technology into what I did. Working at a big record keeper, they had all those processes already done for me, put into place. So it was very easy to execute while I was wholesaling. And here I had to recreate it myself. My broker dealer suggested that I actually utilize Redtail, and I signed up for it, started paying for it. and I wasn't using it. I didn't understand it. It was not good for my business, which was mostly 401k plans. So I quickly suspended that and went right back to Excel spreadsheets. And again, I was just kind of drowning on them. I had multiple ones for different types of opportunities and leads, depending on what was happening. If the plan was a plan that had a consultant already or it didn't. So and then for my existing business as well, trying to keep track of all the different things we had implemented for them and that we hadn't. And then the fact that I couldn't access it except for being at my desk was very complex as well, because I'm out and about quite a bit. So then I found Force Manager, and honestly, it has completely revolutionized my processes and how I do business. So the fact that I have it on my cell phone is just a huge differentiator. I'm on a phone with a health broker or a CPA or a payroll company. These are all people who refer me business, and I'm easily able to just kind of plug in, find the plan, and add notes to it. So the fact that all the plans are already loaded onto my system that are here in South Florida, and I don't have to do much data entry, makes it very easy from a managing that pipeline standpoint and those prospects. The fact that I can create tasks that serve as reminders to go back and follow up with someone, like you mentioned, going, twice a month doing the touch points. I could create tasks for that. That really makes it much more efficient, right? So those are the things that I find very helpful when I am networking with certain centers of influence, sharing lists of people that I'm targeting. It's very easy to export the list from the CRM and have those more meaningful conversations with those centers of influence. So those are the things that really make a huge difference. And just being able to save all the activity, all the data, all the reasons why I identified them as a warm prospect or a hot prospect, and then just kind of have very actionable items on there that are at my fingertips every day and reminders every day of who I need to call. It's just really changed everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. One of the comments that you made when we were talking before the call was about, it's so difficult to find email addresses and phone numbers for the decision maker, if you will, at the plan. And not only is it difficult to do that, but if your list is back at the house, or if you're working from a home office or your office, and on your laptop, it's almost impossible as you garner and work your network and different things like that to be able to put that in a consistent process so that you can capture all of that and then really continue over time, day in and day out, kind of build that list and build that intelligence. So that really stuck with me. I'd like to, I think it would be helpful, like we talked about beforehand, for everybody to kind of see how you use Force Manager 5500, so not just talk about the concept. So I'd like to introduce Luke. Luke is with Force Manager 5500, and he is a Jedi on the technology, but he's going to walk us through here. Yeah, welcome, Luke.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Andy. Much appreciated. Valerie, you're going to take my job. The benefits of Force Manager, you said in there, you're going to talk me out of a job, but no, thank you very much. So I thought what would be great is just to show you all a great training and insight from Andy and Chris. And then how do we make that practical as well? And how do we make that into actually utilizing all those skills in coaching and turn it into sort of real life in there? So Val, I thought it'd be great if we can build a list really quickly here. So we're seeing Force Manager on my desktop here, and we'll just build very super quickly. We'll build a quick prospect list in there. So should we start with a zip code, Val? Have you got a zip code that maybe we should aim for?
Sure. Let's do my office zip code. So it's 33172.
72. So we can very quickly filter the data by now. So we can see those points. Now we're down to these 82 we see down here in where Valerie is there. And also, Val, should we take a look at by total assets? What area you fit in. So which one of these characters, these segmentations, do you feel is more appropriate for you?
So right now I'll take anything, but I'm most aggressively targeting the 1 to 5 million.
Okay, fantastic. So let's do that as well. So let's segment that off as well. So now we can drill in, and now we've got 45 prospects. So we're now creating that list. So very easily by segmentation, we've created that list that Andy and Chris have talked about. And the beauty is, of course, we can now save that list into the system as well. So straight away, very simply, my prospects, and we say, Val, just for argument's sake, it's going to be Q4, sort of my Q4 task, who I'm going to focus on to start with. So we can now save that into the tool as well. So now I can access and jump into those ones at a drop of a hat, be that on my mobile device or be that out there on the desktop as well. So I think that's great. So now, Val, we've got that list, and we can also jump out of the map view and then see them into a list as well. So we can see all of those records in there. And the beauty now is it's purely mobile, completely mobile as well. So what we can do now is also pull up and show the iPad in here as well. So now we can show it on my iPad. So exactly the same data as we've just seen before. And we can filter again by that list. So we can see that saved list we just created, my prospects in there, and then straight away we're down and we're going to have those 45 records in there as well. So fantastic in there. We can see that information in there. And now we can actually go in and start prospecting. So we can jump into this one. And now let's take a deeper look. So we've done our segmentation, but now we also want to have a look at what data we've got already for them coming from the 5,500. So now we can review all of the 5,500 data in the application as well. So very quickly we can undiscover all those key points, total participants, etc. And of course, the whole point now is getting this prospect onto my platform. So Val, if we say this platform's going to be email, so I want to try to get these guys into sort of an email, and I can use a platform like MailChimp, for example, to get them into an email cadence as well. But obviously we need to touch base with them. We need to ask for their permission and get them on board. So also within Force Manager, we've got the contacts, so we can actually go and make a phone call straight from Force Manager into here. So we tap on the phone call icon. I can go ahead and I can make that phone call, for example. And then when I finish the phone call, I've got my notes appearing straight away for me to upload and add in, the information from that phone call. So again, using technology to build this platform, voice to text in here. So great call. She couldn't speak very long, but I need to follow up with her in a couple of days' time. So straight away, I can do that. In 2 days' time, I can set that task. So Val, we talked about tasks. We can add that into there, and we can create that task into the system as well. And now we've got them on board. They can start to utilize the platform, and now you can start to drip feed them. So we've now got them onto that platform. And then of course,
sorry to interrupt. The data that you were searching from is from Aristopedia, and it's pulling from all the 5,500s, and it pulls all kinds of identifiers. So that's the starting point of the search.
Yeah, 100%. So we've got all the 5,500 data through our data partners at Aristopedia. So data integrity is important for us at Force Manager. So adding that into the tool as well, showing potential plan issues and alerts, and financial information as well. And Val, I think when we first started working together, I think you're saying about having all this data just all in the palm of your hand was a massive benefit. I think you talked about a scenario about one of your contacts giving you a call about a plan, and you could quickly pull that up. Do you want to just share some light on that?
Yeah, so I'm driving, I get calls all the time. One of my CPAs calls me up and says, hey, I have this opportunity. I'm not even sure if they have a plan, but I believe they have a plan. I'm able to take a look at it, see how large it is, and see even some of the red flags items, like you said. And I'm able to have an eloquent conversation with him on the fly. And then most importantly, I'm able to log that as a potential prospect and make a task to be able to come back in and follow up with him to make sure that he actually, executes on the introduction.
Yeah, and talking about tasks, it's a great segue. So in here, within the tasks of Force Manager, this is where, this for me as well, this is where when I'm using Force Manager, this is my go-to. My task is that, so we can keep being productive and efficient as well with our time as well. So Valerie, that's sort of prospecting as well, but I know we've worked on also servicing, your clients as well. And we'd be able to pull up maybe one of your clients that you've been servicing on the platform as well.
Yeah, you guys have been wonderful. So I, definitely servicing is something else that I had multiple spreadsheets for, and I wanted to eliminate some of that. So try Subsea Global.
Test of my spelling in here, eh? In there, so Subsea.
S altogether.
Altogether, Subsea Global.
SEA.
SE.
So sub, S-U-B-S-E-A. Yes.
Oh, subsea as in the whole thing. There we go. Eh?
For the ocean,
Brilliant.
yes.
Yeah, there we go. In there. So now we've also got, your servicing, information in there as well. So it's not just the prospecting, it's the servicing information. And you talked about, as you mentioned, having that on multiple spreadsheets as well. And spreadsheets are fantastic, but if you've got more than one, it becomes slightly chaotic with having all of them. So combining that all into there has obviously been a great benefit for you as well.
Yeah, with this one, I even put in the plan highlights. So if you go back to that and you hit the little page there, you see the page that. So there, I actually saved all their plan highlights. So if I'm on the fly, again, at this point, I have close to 30 plans and building, hopefully. So it's hard to keep them all straight. If somebody calls me, I'm not sure if they have a safe harbor or what the eligibility criteria is. I'm able to, right from my car or wherever I'm at, just pull up and have the conversation with the participant.
Fantastic. And like I said, Val, you could talk me out of a job. I won't share the video with everyone else inside of Force Manager, otherwise they'll be approaching you with a new offer in there. So Val, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Chris, I'll hand over the controls back over to you.
Thank you, Luke.
Thanks, Val, for sharing your perspective there. That was helpful.
All right.
So the natural progression here is, and we left a lot out of today's presentation just to keep it to the 50 minutes, but the natural progression here is for you to answer the question, what are your numbers? Can we refine your list? What about finding content? Content is a big sticking point for a lot of advisors that we talk to. What about crafting the message that goes around the content so that you're positioning yourself at standing out, trust as a thought leader, all those things. Platform, you probably have a ton of questions. We barely touched on what platform is. You probably have a lot of questions about that. And then accountability, I call it technology accountability, right? I need to be able to track it and be able to come back to it. So what we've put together for you in part 2 training is where we're just going to go through the same process that we've gone through with Susan, and we're calling it Advisor Playbook Part 2. There's a promo code that you can use so you can get free access to the training. It's NAPA 5500 is the promo code. We'd love to invite you to join us for this. It'll be about an hour where we talk through a lot of the same stuff that we did with Susan to get her to adapt the playbook and adjust. One of the things that Chris and I talk a lot about is excellence. And excellence isn't defined by perfect. Excellence isn't defined by you're comparing yourself to other advisors on the call, whether you have more plans or fewer plans. Excellence is doing the best that you can do right now. So as Susan is using the platform and pulling in content and messaging and stuff like that, she's doing the best that she can with this platform and playbook. And she's continually evolving and getting better at what she's doing. So that whole concept of excellence, where are you now? You've had quite a bit of success with what you've built. You want to build a little bit faster. You need to remove those bottlenecks so that you can acquire those plans a lot faster. Part 2 is for you. If that resonates, you'll know who you are.
Why don't we open it up for any questions that we may have caused you to have as we've been progressing here this afternoon.
Hey guys, I'm here with you again. It's Nevin. It's been a great presentation. Thank you guys so much for this. And Valerie, thank you so much for your perspective. I think that hands-on, like I'm actually using this, really matters. Really sort of transcends from the sales pitch, if you will. I mean, people can deliver a great sales pitch, but actually using the product really makes a difference. Here's a question, and I think some of it gets back a little bit, Chris, to what you were talking earlier, reference to the platform, and the question really is this a CRM or is it an add-on to a CRM, or could it be both?
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things about the technology is those of you that are familiar with the Recipedia, and Tim, wealth of data and extracting the data in a way that we can get intelligence on what's going on in the plan, what should be going on, flags, all those types of things. And then Force Manager 5500 coming in as a true CRM, you have the merging of, it wasn't a data company that's trying to become a CRM or a CRM company that's trying to become a data company. It's the best of both that are brought into one technology. So when Val and Luke pulled that list for Val's area, that was already built into the CRM. There's no uploads, there's nothing like that. So you have the macro level plan access in the 5500s. And then once you do your search and you pull it into your CRM and identify them as prospects, then from there you're tracking it in a native CRM. Force Manager will tell you more about this, if you're interested, but a lot of this, the technology was developed in combination with Apple. So the technology is some of the best technology that's out there. So we're really excited about the combination of the two, because as Chris and I have been teaching advisors, there's always, you get to this ledge and it's like, okay, what technology, how do you build accountability for yourself, tracking, so you can see, okay, where am I making progress, where are things falling through? So it's both CRM and data, and it's all brought into one. So hopefully that answers your question there, Nevin.
Okay, awesome, great, thanks. Got another question here, and as you might expect, we got a lot of integration going here, but the question is, does it integrate with DAAT or Pension Pal? So that might be a technical question. I guess that's why Mr. Luke's with us. How about it?
Yeah, so Force Manager itself has been around in the marketplace for circa 10 years. So robust technology that's been tested, and also been Apple partners since 2016. So the core database you get with Force Manager 5500 is coming from our great partners at Aristopedia. So data integrity is key to that. And then, of course, with any CRM, it shouldn't necessarily only be an island on its own. So integration is also important for any CRM worth its salt. So therefore, with our integration capability, the sort of possibilities are endless. We can integrate with any system. All of our customers have some integration. Very few have a standalone. So with my Pension Pal or any of those other platforms, integration is 100% possible. It's just a conversation between you and us to get the technicals behind it. But anything is possible. What we always want is, I always want to hear your utopia, and then we can work from there. That's the plea. Let's aim big for what we want to achieve, and then we can, if we have to, work backwards, but we're trying to aim big and think about the bigger picture in there as well. And like Andy and Chris have talked about, that connection into the platform, whatever your platform is vital, and that framework around what Force Manager gives is a fantastic step forward.
Well, speaking of utopia, we have a question that says, can you build out workflows for practice management?
So yeah, I guess another technical question for me. So yeah, of course. So workflows again is part of the technology. So if there are those strategic business logic that needs to go into Force Manager, so when I do action A, action B then must be done next, then we can achieve that as well within Force Manager. For me, working in the CRM space before in multiple different places, the customization and what we can do with the tool is one of its key benefits. Up there with ease of use, because that's what's important to us, is that ease of use, because we all know if a system is clunky and complicated, we're just going to find a reason. How many times have we downloaded an app from the App Store and gone, well, this is too complicated, and deleted it? That happens all the time. So that's the ease of use. And for practice managers, exactly, building those workflows, all we need to understand is your business logic, and then we place that into Force Manager, and then away you go, and you're happy and you're off and running, hopefully making everyone more efficient and more productive.
Awesome. Got at least two more questions here. One of them, the 5500 data tends to be, well, it gets stale. Do you have a process or way to sort of deal with that, or how does that work?
Yeah, 100%. So with our connection through our technical term, our API, a direct connection with Tim McCutcheon and his team at Aristopedia,